Christmas!
Welcome to Ill-Equipped History, Christmas edition!
Woo! Christmas, 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 Christmas.
We love Christmas here at, I'm going to call it the Ill-Equipped History Studios, even though you're in a bedroom and I'm in a closet.
Hours apart in different time zones.
It's fine, it's the studios. So, how are you, Morgan?
I am good. We had, this, we're recording in the past. I think I finally figured it out, but we had some pretty scary weather over the weekend, but thankfully we're okay. Our power stayed on the whole time. We're all safe. I don't even think any trees, blew down in my area, so I'm really thankful for that.
Thank goodness. I was really worried about y'all for a solid 30 seconds because I live under a rock and I had no idea there was weather coming your way. And Nick was like, "Hey, is Morgan doing okay?" And I was like, "From what?"
Meanwhile, I am hiding in my basement with my dog, glued to the radar stream that I'm watching, making sure that I don't get a freak tornado that just happens to come over us. But the Nashville area did get hit pretty hard by tornadoes, and there were some casualties, unfortunately.
Yes. So
the community of Nashville is rallying together. There are multiple calls out to people, just regular people, hey, don't help yet. We've got to figure out the severity of the damage first. We have to figure out where it's safe to go. Please stay in your homes until we tell you it's safe to go out and help the people, because everyone is just raring to go help everyone that was affected. So,
well, that makes you feel good, at least that they're trying to go help.
Yeah. And literally being told by first responders, not yet. Wait a second.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Well, on a completely different note, I realize now that I think I'm an old lady.
You're just now realizing this?
I am actively wearing compression socks because when I podcast, my feet swell up because I sit too long. So I'm 80 now.
I've been thinking this might be good for you because with all the fucked upness going on in your feet, I think some help with the blood flow, could help a lot.
It's the problem is that if my feet are not firmly planted on the ground, the circulation in my legs get cut off. So if I'm sitting at a bar stool for too long, I can't walk. It's not good.
You're I swear I'm not drunk.
I am so glad that Nick found me when I was young and still spry, because I don't know if I could get a man like this.
Apparently you can, with all these dudes asking for your hands and for your God. Facebook.
Yeah, the last couple stories we've told have been on the bonus episode. I'm going to tell this on the regular feed because apparently this is 3 times in 2 weeks that random men have come up to me and just said the most unhinged things to me. But I'm pumping gas the other day and a dude pulls up and I hear him say something and I really don't think he's talking to me. But then I realize he is, and he keeps calling me Kim. And I said, "I'm sorry, I'm not Kim. I don't think you have the right person." And he went, "Oh no, I got the right person. You're Kim Kardashian." And then he asked for my name and I just not very politely said no. Dude, I have my son with me. Could you go away?
Yeah. Ugh. I hate that for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And it happened at Buc-ee's too. I just walked by and one guy looked me in the eye, made sure I had eye contact and said, "Damn girl, you look good." And I was in my head, I'm if I didn't have to pee so bad, I would just turn around and go back to the husband. Just.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So I appreciate it, please don't come up to me and be weird, because the guy at the gas station definitely did say he saw me from afar and pulled around to me. I'm like, you made it even weirder. Why?
Oh, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, so between Hams and Kim Kardashian, I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
Accosted at Buc-ee's.
I'm going to wear a freaking potato sack out in public.
Girl, they ain't no hiding that booty. You can wear a tent around you.
Still be tight on the butt. Okay. You ready to talk about Christmas?
Yeah, let's move from your ass to the Christmas.
Let's do it. Now, before we get into the skit, I am legitimately pulling the famous "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" out. I don't want anyone to think I'm plagiarizing. I ain't, okay? All right, here we go. Two kids sit in bed with their mother on Christmas Eve. They are overly excited about Santa's arrival and are having a hard time settling down.
Mom, is it Christmas yet? No, it's Christmas Eve, dummy.
Be nice. Now y'all settle in so I can read you this story. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds.
We don't have mice, do we? I'm scared of mice. Stop interrupting.
While visions of sugar plums danced in their heads, and Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap.
What's the difference between a winter nap and a summer nap?
No more questions, honey. I need to get through this.
Fine.
When out on the lawn, there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters. The kids did eventually fall asleep listening to A Visit from St. Nicholas. In the morning, they will wake up to have full stockings and presents under the Christmas tree. But why? And what is Santa like all over the world?
I'm going to be honest, I've been super excited for your episode. Especially because I just went over like the entire history of Christmas and didn't touch on Santa. I was like, okay, now I need to know about Santa.
That had to have been so freaking hard.
It really was.
I did today, because Last Minute Heroics should be my middle name, watched 2 hour-long documentaries on Santa. And the first one I watched, I was a little confused about the direction that this documentary was going, because it was literally called The Story of Santa. About halfway through this documentary, it stopped talking about Santa altogether. It just started talking about Christmas traditions, and then somehow tried to loop it back around into being Santa at the end. I'm like, I think you got a little lost there, friends.
They might have needed a pad for time a little bit.
Yeah, you could at least spread it out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I watched the second one, which was The Legends of Santa, and that one's actually just on YouTube. Very well done. Very well done. All of it was about Santa, surprisingly. So, okay, disclaimer. I don't know who out there listens with children, but if you are listening with children present, proceed with caution. Please know we will be telling some of Santa's secrets that are only for adult ears. If you're picking up what I'm throwing down. Also, once again, we are not responsible for your kids learning new cuss words from this podcast. It's not our fault. All right? Because I was writing that disclaimer and then I realized that kids shouldn't be listening to us.
No.
So,
I mean, if they do, like, welcome. But
that's cool. Of course, welcome.
This is not a child-targeted podcast.
Absolutely not. Now, listen, have my kids heard words come from my mouth every single day? Yeah, actually. They do. And they refer to those as adult words, and they know not to use them. But I don't know how you guys parent. So, just a fair warning. That ain't us. It ain't our fault.
Yep.
Okay. Glad we got through that. Now on to the introduction. Okay, so Morgan, what do you know about Saint Nicholas?
I know a little bit. I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to, like, spoil anything. Yeah. But I know there are some origins from, like, the Mediterranean, like Greece and Turkey. I know there's some origins from, like, way, like, Northern Europe. But essentially, like, the mythology of Saint Nicholas came from an actual person, Saint Nicholas.
Yes. So Saint Nicholas and Santa, at least in the U.S., are portrayed as kind of the same person. Their names are used interchangeably. Here in the States, they are. I can't speak for around the world. It was very hard looking up different traditions around the world and kind of linking those together. But in reality, they are kind of two different things. Now, Santa, and we'll get into it later in more detail, Santa definitely 100% was created in Saint Nicholas's image. But the Saint Nicholas Center, and they have a website out which has a wealth of knowledge on Saint Nicholas. It's amazing. Puts it simply as Santa Claus belongs to childhood. Saint Nicholas models for all of life.
Okay.
So he was like a legit dude. So Saint Nicholas, he is the patron saint of children and sailors in some parts of the world.
All right.
Sorry, I'm a little snotty. I'm drinking my peppermint tea. So what is a patron saint, for those of you who don't know? So it is someone who lived a life which is a worthy example of how to faithfully follow Jesus Christ. And as a part of the communion of saints, they intercede on behalf of those who call upon them. So basically, if you lived your life how you're supposed to live your life and faithfully follow Jesus, you can become a saint. And then after you die, people can, like, call upon you and you can help.
The way that I kind of understand it, and my family is Catholic. I did not grow up Catholic, like I never went through communion or anything, but kind of how I understand it is, like, when a person prays, like, the saints kind of, like, run interference on the prayer to see, like, okay, can we, like, kind of solve the prayer?
Yeah.
So, because it doesn't need to go all the way up to the tippy top. From what I understand, it may not be like all of Catholicism, but that's kind of my general understanding of it.
I have 0% Catholic in my family, so thank you for that explanation. We got a lot of Baptists. Okay, so he was born around 280 CE, so a long time ago, long time ago, near Patara, or in Patara, which is near Myra in modern day Turkey. And I don't know why I thought this was so funny when I was watching one of the documentaries, but apparently he was different even as a baby. And he abstained from his mother's breast milk except for sundown on Wednesdays and Fridays, which were like early fast days in Christianity.
Oh my gosh, what did he do for the rest of the week? Just starve?
I'm just imagining a 3-month-old baby like, no, mother, it is a Tuesday.
I am too chaste to feed from your breast.
A wah wah. A boo boo.
No boobie.
I do not take titties on Mondays. Respectfully. Okay, but he did survive somehow on 2 days worth of breast milk. So thank God. But it is said that he gave away all his inherited wealth and traveled the countryside helping the sick and the poor. He became one of the top saints, one of the favorite saints of all people. And the Muslims came into the area and kind of took over, and at first they kind of built a building over his burial site, which is rude, but now they like embrace him and they have a whole like Saint Nick Day, and they yeah, and even now they use like the Western imagery of Santa in place of Saint Nick, which I think is really interesting that they would use that imagery, but I think it's a marketing thing.
That's usually what it comes down to, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, truly. So he helped children, and one story says he saved 3 sisters from being sold into slavery or prostitution by their father by providing them with a dowry so that they could get married. So apparently the oldest daughter was above the marrying age, and she was like offering herself to be sold into slavery because she wanted her younger sisters to afford to be able to get married. Don't get me started on the whole dowry thing. Ugh. But anyway, so apparently Saint Nick heard the prayers of the father, because he didn't want to do that. That's his daughter. So Saint Nick just like threw a bag of coins in the window and was like, there you go. And then they all got married. And then the legend of the throwing the money through the window turned into throwing money through the chimney. So see, we're connecting some dots here. And eventually the coins would make it into the stockings. And from what I understand, the stockings, it wasn't really anything specific. It's not like you have to... People would just hang their stockings up next to the fire anyway to dry them.
Probably to... Yeah.
So
that's what I was about
that's
to
just
say.
kind of how that started. But somehow the coins would make it into the stocking at that point. Another famous story from France, and apparently this is told verbally and sung in songs, is that 3 little children were lured into the clutches of an evil butcher during a time of famine, where the butcher killed the 3 boys, and then St. Nicholas legit brought them back from the dead. So, is he a necromancer now?
Was that covered on an episode of This Paranormal Life? I feel like I've heard that story before, but I don't know.
Probably. Actually, I think they did do a Santa episode. Or at least
it was really early on.
Or at least I know they've done Krampus, but I think they did a separate Santa episode. Yeah. I love This Paranormal Life. If y'all, like, seriously, if y'all have never heard them and you're into, like, funny, spooky shit, just go listen to them.
They're a hoot.
They're my favorite. Okay. So yeah, so St. Nicholas is now a necromancer. He's bringing people back from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Casual.
It's just a Tuesday. He can't drink milk on a Tuesday, but he could bring some kids back from the dead.
You know what? It's because there's no boobs involved.
No boobs. How dare they be boobs? Okay, so in other parts of the world, he is said to protect sailors and voyages from storms. And some sailors say, may St. Nicholas hold the tiller instead of wishing other sailors good luck. And by the Renaissance, he was the most popular saint in Europe. Now, back at the weekly skit, I do have some pictures. So the top two are, the one on the left is him being patron saint of children. The one on the right is patron saint of voyages. Yeah.
That guy in the boat looks like he's panicking. Or he's reaching. I can't tell.
Both.
He's like, ah!
Help me! Help me! It's like the painting, the Sea of Galilee.
Oh, yeah.
I think about that painting more often than I should.
Is that your Roman Empire?
Apparently I have a lot of Roman empires, because I think about the Library of Alexandria a lot. I think of that painting and all the other things that were stolen. And I think about all the art the Nazis took and we never recovered. Where is the fucking art? I need to know. Okay, back to Christmas. So, apparently, he also helped the wrongfully accused. So, he had a strong concern for justice, especially for innocent victims, and stories of guiltless soldiers' lives being spared and others wrongfully imprisoned being released. So, his feast day is celebrated on December the 6th. And I know you said you couldn't figure out exactly why they do things on December 6th. This is why.
Gotcha.
So we're bringing it all together. You're welcome.
Thank you for solving that mystery for me.
You were so staunchly trying to stay away from the Santa stuff that you couldn't find it. And I appreciate that. So, this day is also considered a lucky day to get married or make large purchases.
Okay.
Yeah. And even after the infamous Protestant Reformation, here it is again. So even after the Protestant Reformation made celebrating saints frowned upon, he was still very popular, especially in the Holland area. So there were thousands of cathedrals named after him and all this. So he died on September 6th. Did I make that clear? Probably not.
That's the first time you mentioned it.
Okay, so he died on December the 6th, and that's why they celebrate. I forgot an important part of that sentence. Sorry, y'all. So then kind of life goes on. People are still celebrating, remembering him on December the 6th. And now St. Nicholas moves to America. Figuratively, of course. He didn't
wait.
he didn't necromance himself out of death and then. But damn, if he could, wouldn't that be? Maybe that's what he does every December. Is he just comes back to life out of the grave, gives everyone presents, and then goes back.
Oh boy.
Wait, so at this point, would he actually look like Jack Skellington?
I could get behind that.
Yeah.
But instead of wearing like a really neat pinstripe suit, he's just wearing like just strings.
Yeah.
Where his clothes have like rotted away.
Can this be like
from like almost 2,000 years ago?
I want this to be true. So he started to become known towards the end of the 18th century in America. And that's when the German immigrants and the Dutch as well, started bringing the traditions of Saint Nick with them. And it's reported that in December of 1773 and December of 1774, a New York newspaper reported that groups of Dutch families had gathered to honor the anniversary of his death. And the name Santa Claus comes from the Dutch name Sinterklaas. So put Sinterklaas with our accent and you're getting Santa Claus. So in 1804, John Pinktard, a member of the New York Historical Society, distributed woodcuts of St. Nicholas at the Society's annual meeting. And the carving's background had a now familiar image of like stockings filled and fruit over the fireplace hanging everywhere. And not the next year, 5 years later, in January of 1809, Washington Irving joined the society, and that society was the New York Historical Society. So Washington Irving joined the society, and on St. Nicholas Day of that year, 1809, he published a satirical fiction called Knickerbocker's History of New York. And this history, it was satire, but it was basically kind of romanticizing the good old days of New York, whatever that looked like back then.
Okay.
But with numerous references to St. Nicholas. And in this, St. Nicholas was portrayed as a jolly character, and it told stories of his life and his death, and it's not like the saintly bishop we saw, but rather like a elfin Dutch guy with a clay pipe kind of vibe. So it's starting to get more into Santa Claus, not Saint Nick. And this History of New York inspired the New Amsterdam St. Nicholas legends, that the first Dutch immigrant ship had a figurehead of St. Nicholas, and New Amsterdam was what New York is now. It was called New Amsterdam. I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
So St. Nicholas Day started to be observed in the colonies, and the first church was dedicated to St. Nicholas in the area, and that this also started the legend of St. Nicholas coming down the chimneys to bring gifts.
Okay.
Yep. And the gift giving, I didn't think we had time to get into it, but the gift giving was kind of stolen from Saturnalia. And if you want to hear more about Saturnalia, go back to last week's episode. It was last week's episode, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Morgan's episode last week, all about the history of Christmas, to learn more about Saturnalia. Just plug our own episodes in. It's fine. And I referenced myself. So, so it is said that Irving's work was regarded as the, quote, first notable work of imagination in the New World.
Wow, that's a big that's a big
title. I mean,
yeah.
I guess at this time everyone else was really busy like surviving, and he's just over here just writing shit down. So I guess good for him.
What year did you say this
It's
was?
1809. It's actually, they'd been there a while.
I was like, it's been a while. Like, and I mean, they did just kind of finish setting up the country. So
everything, I still feel like everything was survival until the like early 1900s.
I think that's fair.
So, the New York Historical Society held its first St. Nicholas anniversary dinner on December 6th of 1810, a year after Knickerbocker's History of New York came out. So, John Pinktard commissioned artist Alexander Anderson to create the first American image of St. Nicholas for the occasion. And I have one of the images. It's the black and white one, Alexander Anderson's 1810 version of St. Nicholas. You can see he's still very saintly. He's got bees in the background. Is that a dog?
It kind of looks like a dog. Like a pug or something.
Very specific. It's a pug. He's got no shoes on. He's wearing very Catholic robes.
He's got a magic wand.
A halo.
Do you know what that is in his other hand?
Looks like a beaver tail to me.
It does.
Okay, listeners, if you can figure out what that is, please tell us. We don't know.
Also, what's interesting on here is that it says 8343. Wait, so that was the year he died, right?
343.
What year was he born? Like 210?
280, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was born in 280.
Okay. So he's like 63 when he died.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, yeah, in that time period, he was an old man.
Well, what's interesting is that before his death, like, Christmas started to become celebrated, because it was starting to be celebrated actually right around the time that he died, like maybe 10 years before, which is interesting.
That is interesting. So Christmas was starting, but it was being celebrated
as the birth of Christ.
On the 25th, right?
Right.
Okay, so then they started adding the 6th, I think, probably later?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll figure this out. This is fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
We're all learning together. So that's the image. Nicholas was shown in a gift-giving role with children's treats and stockings hanging at the fireplace. So very much how we see it today. And he had a poem accompanying it. I don't have the full poem, but the ending goes, "Saint Nicholas, my dear good friend, to serve you ever was my end. If you will, now, me something give, I'll serve you ever while I live." So still very saintly. Mm-hmm. If anybody said that about Santa Claus today, I think we'd be concerned for them. So, yeah. So people wanted to domesticate Christmas in the 19th century, since the Puritans had eliminated Christmas as a holy season. Like you said, it then kind of just turned to getting drunk.
Yeah.
And then I put some of us still are getting drunk and disorderly out here. We still be doing that.
You know what? Some people like take holidays, not just Christmas, but holidays in general, as a time of like reflection and togetherness with family. And then some people will do that or use it as a reason to get way drunk.
I'm in an and family. We are so happy to be together, and we are all drunk. And that's on both sides of the family, so yay for...
Your family's very fun. I am in a similar family.
Yes, you are. Thank God. Okay, so through the first half of the 19th century, the Presbyterians, Baptists, Quakers, and other Protestants continued to regard December 25th as a day without religious significance, a day of normal business as usual, like Morgan said in this past one. So it all began to change as a new understanding of family life, and the place of children was emerging and changing. So childhood was now becoming seen as a stage of life that needed greater protection and sheltering and, education, training. We need to let these kids be kids and maybe stop sending them to coal mines at 5. So, it's true though.
You will mine the coal you earn for Christmas.
Oh, no.
Naughty children go to the coal mine.
So, I shouldn't laugh at that. All right. I can't look at you. Okay. So as the season gradually became more tame, and then I'm not going to go over religions changing and all that stuff. Just know it started to come back around to the religious side of things. It started to turn more towards like gift giving and such. And then St. Nicholas took on new attributes to fit the changing times. So this is when we start looking into the modern Santa. So his early looks. So as his prominence grew, Sinterklaas was described as everything from a rascal with a blue 3-cornered hat, red waistcoat, and yellow stockings to a man wearing a broad-brimmed hat and a, quote, huge pair of Flemish trunk hose. I don't know what those are. What's a Flemish trunk hose?
Let me Google it. Is it trunk as in Trunk?
Yes. Flemish trunk hose. Oh, it's like the poofy part at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Makes everyone look like they got a donk. Poofy.
Yeah, it's like the poofy shorts. That they wore with like tights underneath.
Morgan, I'll just wear that out and down. Nobody will hit on me then. I'll wear the hat and everything. The big,
the stripes, the weird capelets that they had.
Just right around.
And they have to have all like the filigree and brocade on them too, like as elaborate as possible.
Could I put a sticker on my Malibu that says my other car's a carriage? So when I drive around in town, people know.
Are you driving around the Malibu again?
Yeah. I mean, most of the time. Sometimes it's a truck. Every now and then I'll hop in the Mercedes. Guys, it's not a nice Mercedes. It's from like 2004.
Yeah, it's vintage.
Shit just be breaking on it.
Again, her husband collects vehicles.
Nick, I don't know if I told y'all this, but Nick told me he was like, no, we're riding home together. We were at the in-laws' house and we had driven there separately. And he's like, no, let's all ride together home. And we got to a stop sign and he looked at me and he's like, I'm going to need you to drive. But the problem was we were in the gosh darn turbo car. And I haven't driven that thing in 3 years. And he put a new clutch on it that you have half a freaking centimeter or you're not getting it into gear. So I did get us home. I was cussing a lot by the time I got us home. But by God, I used to drive that. It's so irritating. I was like, I can drive this car in heeled boots. You change the freaking clutch on it and I can't drive it at all. What?
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. It's fine.
I'm glad y'all made it home safe. I'm just imagining like a little...
I mean, I drove it really well. The problem is getting it going from a dead stop because you have to hit it just freaking right. Just right. And then Nick was giving me absolutely no instruction. He was just like, Try harder. Dumb ways to die.
What a good teacher.
Okay. Again, I keep getting derailed. Back to Santa. So,
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Talk about trunk hoses. So, in 1822, Clement Clark Moore, who was an Episcopal minister, I have a hard time with that word every time, wrote a long Christmas poem for his 3 daughters entitled An Account of a Visit from St. Nicholas, which is what we heard part of in our skit this morning. So I hope y'all like my narrating. And is more popularly known as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. So this is where we see his description come from, a very detailed description, such as right jolly old elf with a portly figure and supernatural ability to ascend a chimney with a mere nod of his head.
Did he twinkle his nose or something?
Like Bewitched or something?
I think so. Wasn't it with a waggle of his chin and a twitch of his nose? I don't remember. Yeah. It's been years since I read the poem.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Nice. Bless you, I think. I don't know.
It was a weird hiccup thing. Sorry.
You're fine. So, and here we saw for the first time that he flew from house to house on Christmas Eve in a miniature sleigh led by 8 flying reindeer to leave presents for deserving children. So we've got Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, and Blitzen. And I just want you to know, those are not in my notes. Those are just off the dome.
in the brain.
It's there. And then later on, we will talk about Rudolph. But he comes by later, so he is not in 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. So that was in 1822. So in 1881, a political cartoonist, Thomas Nast, drew the first likeness that matches our modern Santa based on Moore's poem. And it appears in Harper's Weekly, depicting Santa as a rotund, cheerful man with a full white beard holding a sack full of toys for lucky children. Now, look back at the skit and go down. You'll see this is 1881 depiction of Santa. So, I know we will talk about Coca-Cola later. It turns out that a lot of people think that Coca-Cola picked the red, but the red was already mostly solidified. They pretty much took it to the nth degree. Like, they made Santa pretty much into who he was. They solidified it into our culture, and they pretty much made it to where when people saw Santa, they thought of Coke. Yeah. But the red was already there, and his general look and appearance was already there. They just honed in on it.
Yeah, because I was just about to say, I'm looking at the Nast art, and it doesn't look too far from like how we envision Santa today. I think the biggest difference is that instead of wearing like his red hat, he has holly on his head. And he's got, he's usually portrayed with a pipe. He's got the toys. He's got the red outfit with like the white trim and the buckle and the white beard and rosy cheeks, all of that stuff.
But if you also scroll down, this is from about the same time as well. See, the red wasn't completely solidified into the culture yet. So in this depiction of Santa, he is wearing the red hat you see, but he's also wearing like a blue cloak and like a yellow tunic underneath. He's got red pants, but he looks very different than the Nast. So it did for a while kind of flip-flop.
He looks like Wild Mountain Man
Santa, he's also carrying an entire Christmas tree over one arm. So, damn.
Yeah.
But anywho, so Nast drew Santa in all manner of political cartoons. I mean, in the documentary I watched, he was wearing like red, white, and blue outfit and like talking to Civil War soldiers and stuff like that. So by the 1820s, stores began to advertise the Christmas shopping season along with images of the newly popular Santa Claus. And by 1841, thousands of kids would visit shops to see either life-size models of Santa or people dressed up like Santa. And that was a way for the stores to come in, or the stores to get people to come in, because the mentality is like, oh, well, you're coming in to see Santa. While you're here, you're like, oh, well, I'll go ahead and pick this up since I'm here. I'll go ahead and pick that up since I'm here, letting my kid sit on Santa's lap. So another funny thing is that how the red happened is in a lot of images, he was wearing like brown fur because that would have been common in the time.
Right.
But, and I mean head to toe, brown, fuzzy, look like a teddy bear almost. But some of the publishers were not very careful with their colors, and the browns ended up turning a reddish hue. So what was supposed to be brown looked more red, and then you've got Nast, who is just doing him in red anyway.
And it just kind of was like, all right.
Yeah?
You know, it's kind of funny, and this is not related at all, but that's a similar reason to why the Hulk is green in comics. He was originally supposed to be gray, but I think, like, the gray was going to be a lot more expensive, and it didn't read as well, and so they were like, okay, green.
I love
and
it.
now the Hulk is green.
I love that. I love tiny little things that could change, everything. So, his home. How did he end up being in the North Pole? So, around this time, in the mid-1800s, people started looking towards the North Pole as, listen, I don't know how bored these people were in the 1800s, but they were like, I'm bored. I'm going to go put my life on the line and go find some new shit. People were doing some weird ass shit in the 1800s and the early 1900s. They're like, let me jump out of an airplane and just see what happens.
Let's go to the moon.
Let's do that. Let's put a bucket on my head and see how far underwater I can go. Like, cool. And it all did lead to really cool things we have today. But bravo to them, because I could never.
Yeah.
I'd be sitting there reading my book, watching other people, I guess, die. I don't know. But in the mid to late 1800s, people started looking at the North Pole and they're like, I've never been there. I want to go. So they started trying their expeditions, and they all failed until the early 1900s. But as they were doing these expeditions, they were learning more and more about it. And what do you do with this knowledge that you just learned? You publish it all over the world in these magazines or these newspapers, and like, this found in the North Pole or whatever. And it just started a buzz about the North Pole. And then people were like, well, we've never seen Santa. He's always depicted in like the cold or the icy or whatever. He must live at the North Pole. And
obviously.
That's what happened. Everyone was just fascinated with the North Pole at the time, and they just squished the two together.
All right.
And it's during this time that some people saw, at the very beginning, some of the imagery showed Santa as like smaller elf type vibe. Mm-hmm. And then Nast started drawing him as full adult man. So that's kind of how that shift happened. So before we get into Santa around the world, I wanted to talk about some like pop culture Santa, at least in the United States, I don't know a whole lot about the other Santas or what. I could go on for probably 3 episodes if I wanted to dig deep into every culture's Santa. And I would, if given the time. So, okay, so one of the most iconic versions of Santa is Kris Kringle in the 1947 classic Santa Claus movie, Miracle on 34th Street. And that movie was remade in 1994. Now, that is one of the most iconic, but it is not the first. The oldest movie that I could find that had Santa Claus in it was a movie called Santa Claus. And it's an 1898 British short silent drama film.
Oh, drama film.
Drama film. We should try to find it. So it was directed by George Albert Smith, and it features Santa Claus visiting a house on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
Yep.
But Miracle on 34th Street is the first known use of the term Kris Kringle in reference to Santa Claus?
I believe so.
Wow, okay.
Well, yes and no. So, Kris Kringle is derived from someone we're going to see in another country. So Kris Krindle.
So there was the Kris Kringle, which was like the Christ child.
Yes. So
that I saw in my research. But
yes. So this says about 1830. Webster's Dictionary traces Kris Kringle back to German however you say it, Kris Kindle, meaning
I
Christ
so, yeah.
child, and indicates the first documented use in English was in 1830. And then it was used in 1947 on the Miracle of the 34th Street. So I think the name was there, but I think this was the first time it had been used in a film or in pop culture like that.
Well, and I can kind of see how, like, maybe an American ear hears a German immigrant say Kris Kindle.
Yeah.
And they're like, Kris Kringle?
Kris Kringle? Yeah.
Because they're two completely different things.
Yeah.
Like, so I can kind of see how that...
Yeah, I could totally see it too. Well, and I mean, I just think about, remember as a kid playing the game telephone with your classmates, and you'd all have to sit in a line, and one person would whisper a phrase into the first kid's ear, and then each kid whispers the same phrase all the way to the end, and then it is astonishing to hear the phrase is completely different from one end to the other. So accents, being able to hear very well, your own interpretation of what's being said, like verbal things do not carry well.
That, I think that's definitely what happened. And plus the fact that the Kris Kindle was like kind of a gift deliverer.
Yeah.
For instead of like St. Nicholas.
Yep.
And I think like, it's like, oh, a gift deliverer Kris Kringle, gift deliverer Kris Kringle, you know, so.
Yeah. It all mushes together.
Etymology is fun.
It's like in the Halloween episodes where like the haunted houses and the costumes and the trick-or-treating all kind of formed at the same time for different reasons, also the same reasons. Like, it's just kind of meshed. So, okay, back to pop culture. So, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, if you listen to the Thanksgiving episode, you'll know all about it. Santa is at the end and has been for nearly every year since the beginning. And Coca-Cola started using Santa because the winter months were slow selling times. And Haddon Sunbloom, who was of Swedish and Finnish descent, was the artist that really pushed Santa into like Coca-Cola realm. And he built on what he saw from Nast and the other artists before his time, but then he really honed down on it and made it specific, made it family friendly, made it all about everyone's a good boy and girl. He made Santa into, basically, he honed him into what he is today.
Mm-hmm. And I assume this picture here,
yes.
It looks like a Coca-Cola ad. It is a picture of Santa. It looks like he has a book that says Good Boys and Girls.
Yes.
He is staring surprisedly at a note that says, Dear Santa, please pause here. Jimmy, with a bottle of Coke on top. And then there's two little boys like hiding in the background. I do have to say,
yes,
Santa here is adorable.
He's so cute.
Very pleasant, very, like, I want to give him a hug. The children in the background are nightmare fuel, I just have to say. Like, their eyes are too far apart.
They are.
Little beady, like, I can't.
Okay, do you want to know a fun fact about this little painting here? My parents, since I can remember, have the Christmas ornament version of this painting, and it's like a little
Cute.
3D model. It's exactly this. It says exactly the same thing, and you put a little Christmas light in the fireplace so the fireplace glows, and
That's
it's
really cute.
one of my favorites. And I didn't know that that was like a painting too. I just thought it was like an ornament that they've had for my entire life. So yeah, the
cute.
children are very creepy. The children are not in the ornament. It's just Santa.
Good, because
Yes.
I could do without the children.
Yeah, me too.
This, I'm literally scrolling over and just like, okay, it's just Santa in the fireplace. It's cute.
So, okay, songs about Santa. Now, all of these you can hear in the United States. I want to know if y'all in other countries have your favorite, like, Christmas songs. I love Christmas songs. My husband's tired of me. But, he's like, please, no. But, so songs that you can hear in the United States that have Santa in them are Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus, Santa
That
Baby.
song has been stuck in my head for days.
I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Michael Jackson one. It keeps coming on the radio at work.
The Jackson 5?
Yeah.
And I saw Mommy. Okay. Okay, I'm going to get through this list and then I have a little hot take. Santa Baby,
Okay.
Little Saint Nick, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Up on the Housetop, so many more.
Yeah.
Why is everybody trying to kiss Santa Claus? Santa Baby is too sexual. Listen, it was Mama Jimmy's favorite song. And I'm not saying favorite Christmas song. I mean, she wanted Santa Baby by Eartha Kitt played at her funeral kind of favorite song. But also, why Santa's a married man.
Eartha Kitt serves in that song. I have never, like, there's so many versions of that song, and there is not a version of that song that is more sensual than the one Eartha Kitt sings.
Eartha Kitt is a legend. I love her. Yeah. And I literally, there's so many other really good versions, but Eartha Kitt, you're right, hands down, the best.
Yeah. Like, they try so hard to be like, I'm gonna be the new Eartha Kitt. Like, no, you can't.
Stop it. Stop it. Just go around slapping artists. No!
Stop it!
You're not Eartha! Also, did you know that Eartha Kitt was, who's the purple lady on The Emperor's New Groove?
Oh, Yzma.
Yzma!
Yes.
No, I didn't know that. And I was like, why does Yzma sound so familiar? And then I saw a thing about it, and I was like, well, that's why. Okay.
What's crazy is that they had actually recorded a song that she sings. and they cut it from the movie.
Why would they do that?
I don't know. I guess, like, I don't think it really fit in, like, the pacing, but you can look it up with, like, the storyboard art on YouTube. But it's, like, this amazing, like, villain song that she sings.
Ugh. I want that.
I'll find the link and send it to you.
Okay, please do. Okay, so we're here with Santa Around the World. Obviously, he's not called Santa Around the World. I just didn't know how else to title this. So St. Nicholas inspired many gift-giving characters around the world. So let's get into some of them, because again, I can't get into them all. It's like the beer episode. There's too many. So here in the United States, for our abroad listeners, what happens is Santa Claus comes down with Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen, Rudolph in the front. He lands on your roof, comes down your chimney. I don't quite know exactly what their plan was if you don't have a chimney. Mom and Dad always just said that we're going to leave the door unlocked for them, which seems unsafe. But you're supposed to come down the chimney, fill your stockings.
I think in a Santa Claus movie with Tim Allen, he can, like, literally manifest a chimney to come down.
I like that so much. It's fine, I'll make my own chimney. So he is in a sleigh pulled by said reindeer. And every year the kids write letters to Santa, legitimately mail them with the U.S. Postal Service. And I don't know where they go, but they go somewhere. And
I think there's like a P.O. box that's dedicated as the North Pole.
Nice.
I think that's, let me look it up really quick.
Yeah, please do. Because I didn't even think to do that.
Oh, okay. So it's a post office in North Pole, Alaska.
Yeah.
It's on 325 South Santa Claus Lane.
Oh, cute! So cute.
And if a letter gets mailed to Santa at the North Pole, it goes to this post office.
Oh, I bet they get
Alaska.
Inundated.
I'm sure.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, good to know where our letters are going. Also good to know that we can mail something from Tennessee and it'll make it to Alaska for just 50 cents.
You can also get a letter sent back to the child. So I'm reading this. It's from the USPS website, and it says how to get a letter postmarked from the North Pole. Step 1, have the child write a letter to Santa. Step 2, write a personalized response to the child's letter and sign it from Santa. Insert both letters into an envelope and address it to the child. Add the return address to the envelope, Santa, North Pole. Ensure a first-class mail stamp is affixed to the envelope. And place the complete envelope into a larger envelope, both with appropriate postage, and address it to this address.
Well, that's really cute. So, do that, parents, for your children.
Yes, if you look up, it's on the USPS website, if you want your child to get a letter from Santa Claus, there's a whole system in place to ensure that happens, to keep the magic alive, which is very cute.
That is super cute. And if your child is still listening, again, we're not responsible for the Christmas magic we just ruined. So these kids write these letters to Santa. They also leave milk and cookies and sometimes carrots out for his reindeer. So Santa eats millions of cookies every night and drinks gallons and gallons of milk. So
that's why he's nice and rotund.
That's right. And Santa makes a naughty and nice list to see who deserves toys. If you are naughty, you get coal. Did you always leave cookies and milk, or was there sometimes that, like, you left something else?
I think we usually left cookies and milk, and my grandma always finagled us to leave, because we usually, when I was younger and we still did like Santa, we would stay at my grandparents' house because they had a chimney.
Yeah.
they always had like this giant Christmas tree, and my papa would get up on the roof and like jingle bells and like stomp on the roof to make it sound like reindeer were like stomping. He went all out. And my grandma always made sure that we laid out my papa's favorite cookies for Santa.
See, my dad, he never got on the roof. But he's like, I don't really want cookies and I don't drink milk. So there for a really long time, we were leaving cheesecake and sweet tea out.
No, you guys, this is Santa's favorite snack.
He'd always say Santa's really tired of cookies, and he'd really just like some cheesecake.
And sweet tea, your dad's got to have his sweet
tea. He does. Oh my god. Yeah, I never thought it was weird, and now I just realized that Dad didn't really want cookies. And you have to take a couple bites.
Oh, I mean, you gotta have the evidence.
That's right. You could always tell if we left something that he didn't like, he'd only take like 1 or 2 bites, but like that cheesecake, damn it, he ate it.
That's really funny.
So, in Switzerland and Germany, we have the Christkind, or Sinterklaas, to give gifts to children. And the meaning of Christkind is like Chris King, I can't fucking say it.
Chris Kindle.
Yeah, Chris Kindle, thank you. But the Christkind is a angel-like figure and often accompanied by St. Nicholas on the holiday mission. So, see, what happened was, during the Protestant Reformation, always, I feel like we need like a, like in, what is it? Young Frankenstein, every time they say that woman's name, like it neighs, the horse neighs. We should, every time we say Protestant Reformation, we should have like a sound effect for the Protestant.
I was thinking like a warning button. Protestant Reformation. It's our new Spanish Inquisition. Yeah. No one expects a Protestant Reformation.
Oh God. Okay, so after the Protestant Reformation, Protestants don't have saints, so they're like, well, we gotta find someone else to bring the gifts since Saint Nick can't do it anymore because we don't have saints. So they were like, we'll just have baby Jesus do it. And then they realized that doesn't make any sense because babies can't deliver gifts.
But it's Jesus, and Jesus can do anything.
Listen, if Saint Nick wasn't drinking off the tit 5 out of 7 days a week, then freaking baby Jesus can deliver some gifts. It's solid logic. So, somehow they ended up switching to like a blonde fairy lady named Christkind.
Okay.
Don't ask me how. I couldn't link it. I don't know. But she's the one that brings the gifts. And it all kind of got switched around again because time and religion is weird. So now it is seen in Germany that Christkind brings the presents to the Catholic kids, and she gets the letters and visits on Christmas Eve. But in Germany, the evangelical kids, Father Christmas comes, which is basically Santa Claus. Father Christmas comes, and he gets the letters and stuff. So it really just depends on what denomination you are. Depends on which person you're getting. And Krampus also originated, I'm going to have to do like a whole episode on Krampus next year because he's a whole thing. But so Krampus originated in Germany and spread to other parts of the world. If you don't know who Krampus is, consider yourself lucky. He's a demon. And
he's like the anti-Santa.
Literally the anti-Santa. He will kidnap and kill the bad children. So, it ain't good. In Scandinavia, the Jultomtin, or just the Tomtin, is a jolly elf who delivers gifts in a sleigh pulled by goats. And he's kind of like a hybrid of St. Nicholas, the Julbakken, which is the Swedish Christmas goat, and a garden gnome. So he's like a garden gnome Santa pulled by goats. And I love it so much.
That's very cute.
And this is said to have been created by a Swedish artist and illustrator, Jenny Nystrom, in the first half of the 20th century, his image. So typically in this situation, a neighbor dresses up as him, and they, instead of like coming down the chimney or whatever, they actually come to the door and they have like a mask on so you can't tell who it is. That would ruin it really fast. But hand out, the gifts and then leave. They say something really cute like, "Are there good boys and girls in this home?" or something like that. It's super cute. And in England, it's pretty much our Santa, but it's called Father Christmas. And in France, it is referred to as Père Noël. And in France, they fill the shoes of the children, not stockings. And again, if anyone's out there and wants to give us more info, please do. I want to know what y'all's traditions are. That would be awesome.
Yes.
Please do that. Also, one of the documentaries I watched had a part on Paris, France, and how they do things, and it's really elaborate because y'all in Paris are bougie, and I appreciate that. But there was no reason for that Santa to be that good looking. No, he shouldn't be wearing no tight red suit, actual suit. I mean, he was cut. He had the handlebar mustache and the white trimmed beard. There was no jolly. That was just there was no reason for it. Did I get dumped into one of those weird, Christmas romance novels? I didn't ask for this. I was looking for Santa.
Someone write a romance novel about Emileigh and this Parisian Santa.
I don't need any stocking stuffed by this man.
You don't want him to come down your chimney?
Oh, God. I don't even have to come back for that one. I think you killed me. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, my abs hurt. Okay, so in the Netherlands. So in the Netherlands, specifically Amsterdam, Saint Nick, known as Santa Claus there, arrives by boat. And they have a whole festival, and he literally boat and his, what did they call him? Helpers? They used a word that was
the elves?
Yeah, but I think they said servants, which is a little sad sounding, but anyway, so they like come into the harbor on this boat and it's very celebrated. But then there's something called Black Peter, and I'm literally only going to say, I'm going to refer to him as Peter from now on, because it is what it sounds like it is. And so apparently the kids... Okay, so apparently Santa Claus in this area used to ride alone, and he would be the bringer of presents and also would dish out the punishments. But then there was like an illustrative book of illustrative poems in Amsterdam by a teacher, and he gave the role of a punisher to a man named quote Black Peter, and it coming from like our standpoint, an outsider standpoint, it kind of does look as racist as you think it would. And I'm not trying to like knock anyone's traditions or anything, but let's just say you can't do any of that here. There's some blackface involved as well in celebrating. So you can't do any of that here.
Oh no.
Can't do that. So sorry. So I'm calling him Peter from now on. So apparently Peter would take the kids in a sack and then take them to Spain, and then he brings them back in a year and they're good kids all of a sudden.
What happens in Spain?
I don't think I want to know. But apparently Peter brings presents to the front door to these kids. Like in modern times, somebody dresses up and then like knocks on the door, the kids take the toys, and then the dad hands out the toys. But apparently in the Netherlands, they place the shoes by the fireplace, not stockings as well. So enough about Peter. And in Spain, there is no Santa at all. They celebrate the 3 wise men instead. So this is also in like South America and other old Spanish colonies around the world. But the kids write letters and throw them to the wise men in a parade. And it is celebrated on the Epiphany, January 6th. So the kings kiss the kids, and like helpers climb ladders onto balconies because they're going through the streets, and they give gifts to people in their homes on the balconies. And also there's still a lot of blackface, and I don't know why. I honestly, I watched that scene like 3 times and I still don't quite understand why their faces are painted black. And I hope that it's not in a mean way, but I don't know.
That's very strange.
So, Spain, I hope you're doing it with the right intent, even though still, again, you can't do that here. For good reason you can't do that here. Okay. In Italy, there's La Befana, and I swear, she's my favorite. So, she is a kindly witch, and she looks like a witch from Halloween. And she rides around on a broomstick and goes down the chimneys and gives gifts to the children. And apparently her backstory is that the 3 wise men, on their way to meet baby Jesus, asked directions from an old woman to where Christ was born. And she was like, I don't know, but you can sleep here tonight. So she gave them shelter for the night. And the next morning, she declined the invitation to join them. But after they had left, she had a change of heart, but couldn't catch up with them. So she had all these gifts that she had prepared for Jesus. Instead, she gave away the gifts to all the kids she saw along her journey on her way back home. And she is celebrated on the Epiphany as well.
I love that she's a witch.
I do too. I mean, she has like crooked nose, like boil on the nose, big hat, wiry hair, on a broomstick, Halloween witch. I love it. I love it.
I love it too. It's like Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah. There are parts of Spain that also have Santa as well, little, and parts of Italy that have it, but the overall theme is this. So I think it's really interesting that all the kids around the world, regardless of who the gift giver is, they're writing letters to whoever it may be. Because if they're leaving a shoe, that some of them leave like their letter in the shoe. Some of them mail it off. Some of them throw them at a parade. I mean, but everyone's writing letters, and I think that's really cool. And there is an official, like, Santa's workshop. And it's in Lapland, Finland. And it is like the UN's, like, where they consider, like, you can go there. There's like a Santa's workshop and Santa, and it looks like Christmas land, apparently. So, do you want to do some fun facts before we're done?
You know me.
I know you love
I love fun facts.
So, fun fact number 1, the Salvation Army has been sending Santa Claus clad donation collectors into the streets since the 1890s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Rudolph was created about 100 years after the other reindeer. I didn't think it was that long, but in 1839, Robert L. May was a copywriter at the Montgomery Ward department store. And for y'all that don't know who Rudolph is, Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, had a very shiny nose. And if you
I was literally singing it in my head.
You would even say it glowed. No, but he's a Rudolph growing up in Santa's world. He had a big red glowing shiny nose. All the other reindeer would bully him. And as an adult, I see a lot of holes in this story where Santa only helped him out when he realized that, like, it was going to be really foggy and cloudy that night, and Rudolph's nose could actually help light their way. So,
he was useful too.
You're only worthy if you're useful. But that's who Rudolph is, and he has become the most popular reindeer of all time. So, Montgomery Ward sold over 500,000 copies of the poem. So, they made it to like a poem book that year in 1939. 500,000 copies in that first year.
That's insane.
It was reissued in 1946, so 7 years later, and it sold over 3.5 million copies.
Damn.
And Johnny Marks, one of May's friends, wrote a short song based on Rudolph's story in 1949. That was then recorded by Gene Autry and sold over 2 million copies. So that's the song Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Wait, and so just to make sure I have the timeline right. I'm not saying it's not impossible, but May wrote the song, or wrote the story in 1839.
No, 1939.
Oh, I thought you said 1839.
1939.
Like, wow.
No, it was
okay.
The original reindeer were created in the 1800s. Rudolph was created about 100 years later in 1939.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, that makes more sense, because I was like, man, the song was like 100 years after that? Dang.
So, the story has now been translated into 25 different languages and has made into a movie in 1964, which was narrated by Burl Ives. I love that movie. And I think they've made a couple different ones, but that is definitely the best one, in my opinion.
Me and my sisters. So my stepdad is a dentist. And he's a very good dentist, but we always, like, around Christmas time, especially, like say the little elf lines, like, at him.
Yeah.
Just like, I want to be a dentist, you know, like. And he's just like,
Yeah, your stepdad's. He puts up with a lot with y'all. Bless him.
Bless him.
So in the Ukraine, it is a normal custom to decorate trees with spiders and spider webs.
My goodness, all these
Yes.
spooky
Now
things.
this one has like a very heartwarming thing. It is still kind of spooky, but the tradition started or states that there was a widow who was too poor to buy ornaments for her Christmas tree, and the spiders in her hut heard her prayers and spun webs on the tree that turned silver and gold in the sunlight.
Aww.
So tinsel spider webs are thought to bring good luck.
That's really cute, actually.
Yeah, I think it is too. I was like, what do you mean? Oh.
Yeah.
And then the last one is ugly sweaters started in Canada. That's all I have on that. They just started in Canada.
Thanks,
Canada.
Canada.
Appreciate that. So that is all I have on Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, Kris Kringle, Father Christmas, all the others.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome.
And please reach out to us on social media about what your little holiday traditions are. Do you leave cheesecake and sweet tea for Santa because that's what your dad likes?
And if I got any of this wrong, again, I don't live there. Tell me what your customs are. I want to know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'll blame it on the documentaries. So I think we have, we might have forgotten to do this last time, meaning we definitely did. But
yes.
We have some questions to answer. So let me get that pulled up real quick.
So while she's doing that, Emily posted on our Facebook group a little while ago, like about a month ago, I think, asking our followers of the page or of the group to ask us some questions to answer at the end of the year. So that's the context for this. So now we're going to be answering the questions.
And I am going to, while I'm thinking about it right now, I'm going to pin this to the top. We're going to leave the questions open for a while. We'll put it somewhere. We'll have Q&As open probably all the time. So, okay. Question number 1 from Shelby. What is your favorite story in history?
It's really hard.
I know, it's like narrowing down
like,
so many things.
How do you pick just one story? That's really hard. I guess, like, I'll just kind of think about what we've covered so far.
Okay.
And, like, what my favorite has been from those, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I think my favorite story we've covered so far is probably the 1904 Olympics. Because that was just wild.
Yes.
And it's just funny. And yeah.
Yes. Picking a different one, because I think that's definitely one of the top ones. I think, Rube Waddell is probably, if we're talking about people in history, Rube Waddell is probably one of my favorites, because who leaves a baseball game to go pet a puppy? I would.
Yeah.
Or punch a lion. So, But if we're talking about, like, story, I'm gonna go back to, like, the Nazis stealing, all the paintings, because it's kind of like, it's got that mystery flair to it that we're still trying to figure out. Okay.
Yeah.
We have 3 questions total so far. So, Shelby again, top 5 favorite adult drinks.
Can I just say beer as one of them?
Yes. Get as, like,
beer
specific as you want.
Okay. So I'll say beer. I like gin and tonics.
Okay.
I like margaritas.
Okay.
I like, I really like sweet tea and honey bourbon or honey whiskey.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
If I want like a sweet drink. And I'm trying to think of like a splurge that I do. I like mojitos.
I love mojitos. Yeah. Okay. Wine and beer for sure.
I forgot about wine.
How did you forget about wine?
I don't know.
Okay, well, she's adding a sixth. Wine. Okay. Beer and wine. God, I like liquid marijuanas.
Oh, yeah, those are good.
I just drank a 32-ounce pina colada on Bourbon Street, and that thing was woo! And, I do love a good, oh man, what's it called? A Moscow Mule. Thank you. I love a mule. I like the little cup, too. So, question number 3. If someone was to give you... Oh, sorry. This is from Matthew Pierce. Hello, Matthew. Welcome. So,
Hey, Matt.
Oh, his profile picture is with an animal. What kind of animal is that? I don't know. It kind of looks like a llama. Please, Matthew, tell me what that is. I want to love it. Okay, so if someone gives you each a box of every single thing you've ever lost in your life, what would be the first thing you would look for in it?
My motivation. And my energy.
Your energy.
Oh, I know what it would be. I would look for my scrapbooks that I made when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I had so many scrapbooks that I made of like our memories and our adventures. Like I had one for our Washington DC trip. I had one for so many different adventures. And when we moved after we graduated high school, they got lost. And it still makes me really sad to this day. So I would look for those.
Okay. When I first read that's a great answer, by the way. I would love to see all those pictures. Maybe one day they'll turn up somewhere weird.
We'll see.
When I read this, the first thing I thought of was River, who was my dog, and I lost her. Aww. And I was like, well, that's going to bum everyone out, so I need to think of like a second thing. Because she's number one. If I could Santa Claus necromance my way back to having my dog, I would. Let's see. I just had a good one. I guess in the spirit of Christmas, I would look for my Mama Jimmy's specific Little Drummer Boy Christmas ornament that she had out every year, and you squeezed it and it played the Little Drummer Boy in like the little notes,
the bum 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 bum.
Yeah, but it was like the high pitched, almost like it was on not a xylophone, but xylophone. I don't know why I was saying xylophone and thinking marimba, but xylophone. But I would look for that. My cousin and I were obsessed with it, and I'm pretty sure we drove our entire family crazy with it. And I was thinking about that the other day, just like all of her Christmas ornaments and that one specific one.
Yeah.
Still bummed everybody out. Sorry, guys.
I mean, that's kind of a sad, thank you, Matt, for that question. But it is kind of a sad question.
Yeah.
Like, what's something that you've lost that you want back? And it's something that was obviously cherished.
Yeah. River. Well, the kids never let me forget that River died. They will literally just out of nowhere, we'll be minding our business sitting on the couch, and one of them will look over and they'll go, "You know River's dead, right?" Like, just deadpan. Why? My son asked me once how they got such a big dog in such a little box, because we had her cremated. And how do you tell a 5-year-old, he was 5 at the time, that they set his dog on fire? How do you say that without trauma?
I mean, I don't think there is a way. Like, oh, they just put her in there. Like,
it was.
I would imagine like this horrible, like just like crunching her body down into like to fit in the box, which is I think worse.
This is the only time that I ever use the "I'll tell you when you're older" sentence. I'm not a firm believer in that. Like, I explain everything to my children, but I was like, this is above your age range. This is it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that was a good call.
Yeah.
Because that is hard to explain and can be really hard to hear for a little one's ears.
Yes. Yeah. So we should thank you again for the questions, Shelby and Matthew. We will leave this open. Please ask us more questions. Email us questions if you don't want to ask on the thing. If you want us to keep it, anonymous, you can email us and ask us anonymous questions. And we should probably let y'all go. Our Facebook is
facebook.com/illequippedhistory group, or just look up Ill-Equipped History Group or page.
Our Instagram
at Ill-Equipped History.
Our TikTok
at Ill-Equipped History.
And our Patreon.
Patreon.com/Ill-Equippedhistory.
It's funny, it's weird how nobody took that name already. I think we did a good job naming us. No one had it.
Emileigh's the one that came up with the name, and because we brainstormed for like a few hours. Like, what the hell are we going to call this podcast that wasn't already taken or too similar to another podcast? And Emileigh looked at me and she's like, what about Ill-Equipped History? And I was like, that is perfect.
Yes, because we are not equipped. So. And it's kind of funny. There is history involved.
we make little quips at each other.
I love it. Okay. So like us, comment, email. Oh, our email. What's our email, Morgan?
illequippedhistory@gmail.com.
I knew I was forgetting one. I need to write this shit down.
Dear listeners, please have a Merry Christmas or holiday season if you do not celebrate Christmas. Definitely next year we want to cover other holiday traditions.
Yes.
There's only so much time. Yeah, and like Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and other non-Christian holidays that are around this time, because there's a lot. And maybe even getting more in depth into like Saturnalia and some more pagan traditions,
Yeah.
There's we only barely scratched the surface of the December celebrations, so
yes.
Please have a very merry time with your loved ones, whatever that may look like.
And if you don't want to do that,
this holiday season,
go drink. And if you don't want to do that, eat some nachos.
Eat some nachos! Christmas nachos!
Christmas nachos! You could just shape them into like a Christmas tree shape and Christmas nachos.
Perfect. You get some like red and green bell pepper.
Ooh.
Some queso for the gold.
Yeah. Globs of sour cream because I love sour cream. Multiple globs.
Perfect.
Yes.
There you go. There's nachos for you.
Okay, bye.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!